People of the internet, Whitney Cummings just lost all of her fans, and today we are going to learn why, and you're in for a treat, because if you're like me, you love a good Whitney Cummings crash out. It just does something, makes the air smell fresher, and makes my soul smile. So let's stop talking about it and get right in so we can enjoy this moment together.
I guess that's like, you think that the people of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi government all share. Okay, so you also believe that the Chinese government and the Chinese people are exactly the same. It's just racism. I think it took me a second, because when people are going like, oh, you're doing something unethical, I'm like, oh, these must be ethical people. Let me listen. And then you're like, oh, no, you're just racist.
Wow, I'm starting to believe that along with the restrictions to their act and stuff like that they had, I believe they all got the same talking points, right? It seems like the Saudi government gave them all the same talking points. But why is she addressing the citizens? I don't think we ever said anything about the citizens. They still don't understand that we're not mad. This isn't, you know what I mean? You did this directly for a regime that is cruel to its people. That is what is the citizens? How nobody said anything about the citizens of Saudi Arabia. And why are we racist for holding a regime accountable for their atrocities to human beings? They still don't get it. It's the citizens' fault. We never compared this. What are we talking about? This is ludicrous. Do they not see how dumb they sound? I mean, you just have to watch them speak for 35.26 seconds and there's nothing you can trust,
Whitney Cummings just threw her entire fan base under the bus. After weeks of silence about performing at Saudi Arabia's state-sponsored comedy festival, she finally addressed the controversy, and instead of owning it, instead of explaining her decision, she called her fans racist. Not the Saudi government that paid her, not the regime that executes journalists and imprisons women for tweets, her fans. The people who supported her career for years.
Because you don't believe in comedy, it doesn't mean other people don't. People are like, you sell out. I love when a Nepo baby tells comics who grew up poor that they're sellouts. People whose dads have points on huge television shows are like, I have a backup plan, a trust fund. You're a sellout for making money.
This is the same comedian who built her brand on social justice, who made an entire Netflix special about the Me Too movement and women's rights,
Yeah, isn't this wild that super feminist Whitney Cummings went to a place that doesn't treat ladies so nice? People's morals. Find me a person that stands on their morals, and I'll make you a rich man. You know what I mean? It's just, can we just stop pretending? Be like, fuck it, dog. I'm going over there to get some money, bitch. What you gonna say about it? Nada. That's what we need to do. We need to stop pretending. I think there would be some backlash. But I think people don't care. Look at this. How long has this shit been going on? We're reaching, this drama is still unfolding, and we're like moving into the territory of like Hassan Electro Collar like length, right? It's getting crazy. Saudi Arabia and Hassan's dog collar have been going on for about a month. Isn't that crazy? And these guys just dig their own grave, it's still going on. I haven't even checked on what Bill Burr said, but I'm sure Bill's old Billy Baldface riled up, you know what I mean?
Positioned herself as a voice for the voiceless, and now she's defending taking money from one of the most oppressive governments on earth by calling her audience ignorant. This is the story of how Whitney Cummings went from comedy's feminist icon to its biggest hypocrite, and how she destroyed her reputation in less than 10 minutes on a podcast.
Average forehead is 4 fingers wide. He said, I got an 8 to 12 finger situation. She goes, shh, this is a library.
Ooh.
If I'm not talking or smiling, it looks like I could murder your entire family.
And then the kid with the metal bar cast, they let him play.
The Riyadh performance. Let's set.
I don't know, guys. That little commercial right there. I'm ready to sell to Saudi Arabia too. It had a little bounce to it, you know. And sometimes I have a little weakness towards the bounce, but you know, I also just saw all of those top tier comedians, man. Russell Peters, woo! Oh man, what a great time! And what is that? Manichenko, Sebastian Manifuku. I don't know his name, but look, guys. Here's the thing. I think, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, okay? I think most of the stuff, and I'm not trying to be an elitist. I'm just honestly, just take your time and think about it when I say it. I think most of the stuff pumped out by the mainstream corporations, and then that dominates the mainstream entertainment, is absolute fucking garbage. Now, there are exceptions, but I think most of it is absolute fucking garbage. Look at the movies from these big companies, absolute shit. Look at the music. I mean, Taylor Swift. Can you believe that? I live in a world where Taylor Swift is a superstar. Have you listened to one of her albums? I tried. And every one of her songs is about a boy that betrayed her or a boy that she can't get. And like finding love. That's every single album, every single song. And that is what's popular in the mainstream media. The View. How? How is it popular? I think most really good stuff doesn't make it up there because it doesn't fall in line. You look at every one of those comics, it's just like, ugh. Like, can we get something different? Something exciting. They just keep giving us this vanilla, boring ass fucking comedians. And now Riyadh and Saudi Arabia are buying them up, and now they're going to go around the world. And now, do you see the plague of bad comedy? Because now they're spreading in this mainstream, and there's just going to be a ton of people that are too busy surviving, that they're just drones, and they have very bad music, comedy, entertainment taste. And then this stuff is just going to keep getting promoted. It's a vicious cycle. Look at our music. Man, just look at the music. Half of it is absolute dog shit. Most of the best stuff is being made by people on the lower levels of industry, man. Damn. I often think to myself, how did people get such a positive, like, hopeful view of life when the world is so fucking cruel? Like, your life's going to be great. You're going to be happiness. Everybody's going to like music that's absolute dog shit. And then they're going to pump out absolute dog shit ass movies while suppressing talented people that could make better ones. Oh, and you got to pay taxes. Oh, and you're going to have this thing called a boss. And he's going to contradict himself. He's going to talk shit to you. He's going to belittle you. He's going to harass you. And he's going to underpay you. Welcome to your happy life. I'm so pessimistic. But look, the world made me this way because that's the truth of the matter. You don't see me up here siding with no bullshit. This is what I've seen with my own eyes. And now comedy. You don't understand this moment, this Saudi Arabia. A lot of you are downplaying this Saudi Arabia moment, but they got their hands in so much shit. They're gonna dominate entertainment space and pump these guys out to the world. And then the world is gonna know of all this shit. And now we're just smearing shit all over the world. And we're going to live in a shitty world. And that's all starting right here. Fuck me. Man.
Late 2024, Saudi Arabia hosted the Riyadh Comedy Festival, a massive state-sponsored event designed to make the country look modern and progressive to Western audiences. They paid huge money to bring in some of the biggest names in comedy. Bill Burr, Jimmy Carr, Kevin Hart.
Sucks.
The goal was simple. Use entertainment to clean up Saudi Arabia's brutal reputation. And it worked. Comedians showed up, performed under strict censorship rules, collected their checks, and left. But when news broke about who performed there, fans were furious. Not because comedians performed in Saudi Arabia, but because many of the comics on that list had spent years building their brands on social justice, women's rights, and free speech.
This is the second podcast where I did start talking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. You know, I can see the thing now. Whitney Cummings addresses the festival. You know what? I don't think I need to address it. You guys have it all figured out. I think you guys got it.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Don't get plastic surgery. Every time I look at Whitney, it's all I can think about. And if you do that to your face, that's all people are going to think about too. Because there's a symmetry to you. And when you snip, it messes things up. And then notice it. And it's not good. Look, if you buy good quality products, you can have good skin. Look at my shit. My shit is flawless. That's because I buy high quality products. Use a little bit of lotion. You know what I mean? Take care of your hair. And you'll be just fine. You are fine the way you are. Stop doing this shit to your face. There's nothing more unattractive to a woman than when you know she's had plastic surgery. It just throws shit off. You know? Imagine looking at okay, look at this picture of Whitney. See how she's in the center, right? She's dead center. Doesn't really throw you off. The world, we see the world in symmetry, right? Doesn't throw you off. Let me move her to the left. You know, to the left, let's center her right here. Let's put her right here. You feel some certain way about that. You'd feel things are off because she's not centered in this frame that's intended to be centered. That's plastic surgery. Please stop doing it. It's just not. I was about to go. That's another thing the world has done to women. They always got to feel like they got to be better. They're constantly in a state of insecurity because everyone's telling them they should be this, that, and the other. I mean, I think, the world does that to everybody. But you got a face for a reason. So don't fuck with it. Because it makes you really funky. It makes you look funky. Anyways.
You guys, I guess I'm this weirdo. I don't operate under, the idea that every government and their people are the same.
Whitney stayed silent for weeks, didn't address it, didn't explain herself, just let the backlash build while everyone waited for her to say something. And when she finally did, it was worse than anyone expected. Instead of acknowledging why people were upset, she went on the defensive, accused her fans of being racist for not distinguishing between the Saudi government and Saudi citizens, called them ignorant for criticizing her decision. And just like that, she lost the support of the people who made her career possible.
That the people of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi government all share... Okay, so you also believe that the Chinese government and the Chinese people are exactly the same. It's just racism. I think it took me a second because when people are going oh, you're doing something unethical. I'm like, oh, these must be ethical people. Let me listen. And then you're like, oh, no, you're just racist. But these are also, by the way, the same people that would go Trump's not my president. I'm nothing like our government. but other countries are.
The backwards defense. Let's break down Whitney's defense.
What does that even
because
mean?
It's one of the most backwards arguments she could have made.
Exactly.
She said people were mad because they think the Saudi government and Saudi people are the same, that criticizing her for performing there is racist because it lumps all Saudi citizens together with their government. But here's the problem. Nobody was mad that Saudi citizens were in the audience. Nobody cared about the crowd. The issue was that Whitney accepted money directly from the Saudi government, a government known for human rights abuses, executing journalists, and imprisoning women for advocating for basic rights.
It's just racism. I think it took me a second, because when people are going like, oh, you're doing something unethical, I'm like, oh, these must be ethical people. Let me listen. And then you're like, oh no, you're just racist.
Whitney tried to flip the narrative, make it seem like her critics were the problem, that they were the racist ones for not understanding the difference between a government and its people. But that's not what anyone was saying. People were calling her out for hypocrisy, for taking money from a regime that represents everything she's claimed to stand against. And instead of addressing that, she deflected, blamed her audience, made herself the victim. It was a masterclass in how not to handle backlash.
A comic tried to imply that it was hypocritical that I went, because I did a special about sexual harassment and stuff like that. It was like kind of during the Me Too movement.
Kinda.
It might be a compelling argument if it wasn't someone who was just bummed that they weren't invited, because he also believes he deserves 72 virgins. Maybe it's that.
The Me Too hypocrisy. Here's...
Dude, okay. I need your help. Am I the only one that's lost here? Her arguments are even worse than the other, Andrew Schultz and Joe Rogan. At least they could coherently deliver their shit talk. I don't even, what's the 72 virgins thing about? Who's she talking about? Man, she doesn't have, this is why Whitney Cummings is so interesting to watch. She just doesn't seem very smart. And that's not like, you're smarter than me. I'm just saying she's... Oof. Sorry, I had to pull back there. That would have got me canceled, guys. But at least it wouldn't have been in Saudi Arabia,
Why the backlash hit Whitney harder than most other comedians on that list. She built her entire recent brand around the Me Too movement. In 2019, she released a Netflix special called Can I Touch It? The entire hour was about sexual harassment, women's rights, and holding powerful men accountable. She positioned herself as someone who cared deeply about these issues. And then she went to Saudi Arabia, a country where women only recently gained the right to drive, where women...
I mean, I don't know if the last time I heard she was dating Chris Cole, the skateboarder. He doesn't have a very good reputation with the ladies. It's just funny how Whitney jumped on the Me Too movement. I'm sure this is what that's getting to, because like everything Whitney does contradicts her stance as she presented it on Me Too. I mean, her boyfriend is literally... You catch my gist, right? Sometimes if you say something, they'll demonetize your videos.
Can be arrested for what they wear or say online, where a woman named Salma al-Shahab got 34 years in prison for tweeting about women's rights. Whitney took money from the government that does this, and when people pointed out the obvious contradiction, she called them racist. That's not just tone deaf, it's insulting, because her fans weren't criticizing her for performing in front of Saudi people. They were criticizing her for helping a brutal regime clean up its image, and she knew it. She had to know it, but instead of owning the decision, she chose to gaslight her audience.
It's like if you're whether you're going to Saudi Arabia for money or you're pretending you are an ally to save your money, it's the same fucking thing.
Agreed.
So fuck you.
This is similar to why I don't go to funerals.
I just had the chuckle. Chris D'Elia having the moral high ground on you. Let me tell you something. That is not a place you ever want to visit. I mean, it's pretty bad. You got Chris D'Elia telling him off? Jesus. Remember I was telling you about the world earlier? Holy shit.
For people I don't really
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Chris D'Elia enters the chat, and then things got even messier. Chris D'Elia, of all people, started publicly criticizing Whitney for performing in Riyadh. Chris D'Elia, the comedian who was accused by over 100 women of predatory behavior.
That many?
The guy who's been trying to rebuild his career after one of the biggest cancellations in comedy history. He went on podcasts calling out Whitney and other comedians who performed in Saudi Arabia, said it was hypocritical for them to claim they care about the Me Too movement and then take money from a government that oppresses women. And you know what? He was right.
You still got 35 fucking millionaire comedians going over to Riyadh, playing in Saudi Arabia that are like, I don't know, just huge on the Me Too movement. And then they go, what's the bag? They won't let women show their mouth. And I'm not saying I would or wouldn't do it, but comedians that are like, women's rights, we're here for minority, we do all the things, everybody said, what's the bag?
Chris said, you got these comedians that are...
Folks, it's an official war. Chris D'Elia is joining the comedy war. This is getting crazier by the day. Who would have expected the comedy wars getting this wild? Now that Chris D'Elia is making attacks, he has crawled out of his hole and he's going full force. This is wild. In 2024, did you see this going down? There's a legit comedy war right now. How can we make some donations to our favorite side, fund them so that they can, buy all the things they need to fund fight their comedy war? Can we be comedy arms dealers? Is that what we could be? We can what would these guys, what were they? Oh, you need gossip and dirt. Oh, shit. Once I started thinking about it, it was total shit.
Huge on the Me Too movement, and then they go, what's the bag, bro? They won't let women show their mouths over there. It's absolutely insane that Chris D'Elia is the one making good moral points. But that's where we are. That's how badly Whitney fumbled this. When someone with Chris's history can take the moral high ground against you, you know you messed up bad.
We're like, you sell out. I love when a Nepo baby tells comics who grew up poor that they're sellouts. People whose dads have points on huge television shows are like, I have a backup plan, a trust fund.
You know what she looks like? Because her face, and she's got those cheekbones, and she's done all that work on her face. She looks like what's her name? Jennifer. Oh, I can't even think of her name. But the Labyrinth, that little puppet girl. The little puppet, she looks like the Labyrinth puppet. The main character puppet. I don't even know, but Jennifer Connelly is she in that with David Bowie? I think so. Yeah. But you see? It's crazy. Why would
You're a sellout for making money. Comics have been doing rants about it. By the way, any comic who has ever worked with Live Nation, which is all of them, has taken Saudi money. But keep with your little rants.
Whitney.
Wait. I know Saudi did have an ownership in Live Nation, but I'm pretty sure they recently got out of that. Oh no, let's see if they address that. But I'm pretty sure which would. I mean, technically, I think it was recent, maybe last year or something, but technically they did. But I think that's a little different because the point is that if you do a show through Ticketmaster, one, they're one of the only ones that you can sell tickets through, right? Live Nation and, their venues. And two, you get to do your show. You get to do it. Fans are directly paying you. Fans, like the citizens you're so scared about, that's how you do it. The citizens pay for the tickets, which supplies your fee or your profit for the show. And guess what? The difference is between the Saudi government and doing your own show and selling your own tickets. You don't have limitations, restrictions in line with a regime that treats citizens very poorly. You don't have to change your act. If you put on your own show, yes, you have, like, what can you do, right? Ticketmaster is like got the monopoly on that shit. And the Saudi regime isn't telling you what to do through Ticketmaster. That's the point. Going to the king's court and making your own concert, two different things. Your fans, the thing you're trying to use as blame against us haters, those citizens, those are the ones supporting you directly. Name one of those fans that paid for ticket. They were probably all fucking told to be there, or they'll get their hand chopped off. You know what I mean?
His pathetic response. So how did Whitney respond to Chris calling her out? Did she bring up his allegations? Did she point out the irony of him lecturing anyone about morality? Nope. She said he has a trust fund. I love when a Nepo baby tells comics who grew up poor that they're sellouts. People whose dads have points on huge television shows are like, I have a backup plan and a trust fund. You're a sellout for making money. That's it. That's her entire comeback.
Yeah, that's what they do, but I'm going to give you another life lesson here. Okay, here we go. Okay. If you have a trust fund, don't give a shit. Go for it. Just live it up. Do it. Now, parents out there, if you have the ability to give your kids a trust fund, please do it. Here's why. I didn't have a trust fund. That shit sucks. We were poor. Started off really poor. Right? That shit sucks. And with the world so corrupt and morals are just whatever is the flavor of the day, the month, the year, and everyone's just doing what the fuck they want. If you can give your kid a trust fund and don't listen to nobody, let them have a good life not worrying about their finances. Let them have a good life. And if you got a trust fund, just live it up because you got fucking lucky. Okay? Give me a trust fund. Y'all can say whatever the fuck you want, but my electricity ain't getting turned off. And I got me a big screen, bitch. What you got? Yeah, that's what I thought. Look at this trust fund now. Look at this trust fund now. That's what you got to do. I know there's always more. I get it. I get your theory. I think the same things. But the reality of the situation is this world ain't shit. All these people preaching and telling you how to be ain't shit. All those people can be like, you're just a trust fund, baby. Yep, I'm rich, bit. What now? Would you like a donation? I can give you one. That's how that's the reality of it. Because if there are no morals, there are no this hard work ethic, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You got to fucking just go out and eye of the tiger type shit. Nobody does that. And the people that do live a life of misery. It's crazy, huh? Get that trust fund. Shit. I feel your morals. I support exactly what you want to think. But the reality, shit, give me a trust fund. And here's the thing. Somebody out there right now, get a hold of me and give me a trust fund. I'll take it. I'm not going to do what you're going to say. But if you would like to donate a trust fund to me, come on now and get it to me. And guess what? You give me that trust fund, I'll mind my business. You ain't never going to hear from me again. I just look, productive citizen right there. Do you see how good that turned out? I'll just mind my business. Kind of like what these comedians are doing, huh? Just minding their business, not giving a fuck and taking that money. Anyway, but I was serious about the trust fund though. Reach out. I'm here for you. Send it.
Chris has money from his family.
My Cash App.
Criticism doesn't count.
So I remember as a kid, I don't know if this happened to you guys as kids, but I remember knowing things were wrong in my house and my family being like, everything's fine. That's what everyone tells you as a kid. They think you're so dumb, we know there's no Santa. Like, it's like we're just getting lied to as kids constantly. But I think kids are very empathic, and kids are very sensitive. And I knew something was wrong. Just anytime my parents would fight, I'd be like, "What's going on?" And they'd be like, "Everything's fine, we're good." And then they get a divorce 2 days later, and I was like, "I knew it," you know.
And here's the kicker: Whitney did.
She just had like a thought that something was wrong. You know, I knew something was wrong when my mom came in with an ankle brace, and then a neck brace, and then a broken arm, and it just seemed to happen all the time. Oh shit. Anyways,
Didn't grow up poor. She grew up in Georgetown, one of the richest neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. She went to the same private school as Barron Trump. So when she says she had to make it out the gutter, she's lying.
damn.
Making it up to paint herself as the underdog. Chris D'Elia has a trust fund, sure, but Whitney pretending she grew up struggling when she had every advantage is just as dishonest. And instead of addressing Chris's actual point, which was solid, she went for a weak personal attack. It was embarrassing. If you're enjoying this breakdown...
See, we've been saying this, you know, pat yourself on the back. We've been saying this. They don't address the issue, they attack you. They attack you. And it's just, normally, you could see this all throughout media. You could see politicians do this. I mean, Donald Trump, that's his go-to. But usually when people have to rely on that and have to do that, they're weak. They're liars. They're trying to spin something. They're trying to gaslight you. They're trying to confuse you. Because their greatest weakness are the facts. And these types of like shady ass people all do this stuff. Why does she got a book open? She's got a book open.
Hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm push this to more people, and subscribe because we're covering more stories like this every week.
When you get a sec, Google Saudi Arabia Live Nation so you can be informed on the fact that anyone who has worked with Live Nation, every stand-up comic, has taken Saudi money. Google that, just so that you know what you're talking about.
Or bought a ticket through Live Nation.
Or bought a ticket through Live Nation, went to a Live Nation event.
The Live Nation excuse. But Whitney wasn't done. She had another excuse ready, and this one might be even worse than calling her fans racist. She said that anyone who's ever worked with Live Nation has taken Saudi money, because Saudi Arabia's public investment fund used to own shares in Live Nation. When you get a set, Google Saudi Arabia Live Nation so you can be informed that anyone who has worked with Live Nation has taken Saudi money. On the surface, that sounds like a good point, but it falls apart immediately when you actually look at the facts. Yes, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund owned about 5.7% of Live Nation stock around 2020, but owning shares in a publicly traded company is not the same as directly funding something. If you buy a ticket to a Live Nation concert, that money goes to Live Nation, not Saudi Arabia. If you perform at a Live Nation venue, you're working for Live Nation, not the Saudi government. But when you fly to Riyadh and perform at a state-sponsored festival, you're being paid directly by the Saudi government. That's a completely different thing. And on top of that, Saudi Arabia sold all their Live Nation shares in 2024. So Whitney's argument doesn't even apply anymore.
Don't think like negative comments should exist is so like our job.
Of course,
they should
to understand human nature, and the fact that we're still talking about this 5 years after negative comments are like, is so bizarre to me. Like we're so the narcissism to believe we never deserve any negativity ever, and that we don't understand human nature. That like it's high school, we're still in high school, everyone's just trolling each other.
The double podcast disaster. And here's where things get really wild. The same day Whitney released the podcast, where she called her fans racist, she also appeared on another podcast, We Might Be Drunk, with Mark Normand and Sam Morrill. And on that podcast, she was completely chill, acting like the backlash didn't bother her at all. Said comedians shouldn't respond to internet trolls. That negative feedback is just part of the job. We're so blindsided by the fact that people are critical or have opinions. We're doing it all day, every day in our heads. Of course, people are going to criticize us. She even said responding to online hate is a sign of mental illness. So let me get this straight. On one podcast, she's furious at her fans, calling them racist, telling them they're ignorant, justifying why she took the Saudi money. And on another podcast released the exact same day, she's saying comedians need to rise above criticism, that responding to trolls is childish, that negative comments don't matter. Whitney literally contradicted herself within hours. She can't even keep her story straight long enough to get through a single day. That's not strategic. That's just messy. And it shows how rattled she is by this whole situation.
All right, so I'm with Stanley the giraffe. Hi. And I wanted to make sure he was okay personally, so I did sort of a jailbreak and I got up here. He's doing okay. It's pretty to make sure that there's no new fires that are coming because this area got completely scorched. Hi. And new fires are the concern and dust is the concern, so I'm just doing everything I can.
These are Karens, right? She's a Karen. She's like an ultra Karen. Karens contradict themselves. They want to get publicity for seeming like they're doing something for a cause. They're good people. But at the end, they're full of shit and full of hot air. This is a certified Karen. And how do you take Whitney seriously? She's just a big, giant walking contradiction.
Giraffe incident. And if you think this is the first time Whitney's done something completely unhinged, let me remind you of the giraffe incident. During the LA wildfires in 2020, Whitney trespassed onto a private exotic animal farm. She lied to police, saying she had permission to be there. Then she climbed into a giraffe enclosure, filmed herself with the animals, and posted it to Instagram. She accused the farm owners of not taking care of their animals during the fires.
Karen. I mean, another attribute of the Karen is self-righteousness and superiority because of that self-righteousness. Dude, I think Whitney Cummings is just actually cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like that is just all it is. And I'm not being general. I think this lady is just seriously off her rocker. She has just been a walking disaster. And if this much shit is getting out publicly about her, how much that's why she dates crazy men. You know what I'm saying? She be blaming everybody else, but it's like, yo, why do you always date crazy men? Why do you date crazy men with this patterns of abuse and all this shit? Why do you keep dating them? At some time, you got to hold yourself accountable. We're not racist. We're just not stupid like you. Jeez.
Posted it to her millions of followers, then quickly deleted it after the owners came out and proved she was lying. The farm owner said Whitney had a clear agenda, that she didn't care about the animals at all. She just wanted social media clout. This woman went up there with a definite agenda, and it had nothing to do with the well-being of the animals. It was about getting her social media post numbers up. So this isn't new behavior. Whitney's always been willing to lie and manipulate situations for attention. The Riyadh situation is just the latest example. The fan base collapse, and the consequences are real. Whitney's
I like this part.
Is turning on her hard. Comment sections on her videos are brutal. People who used to support her are now calling her out for hypocrisy, unsubscribing, saying they can't respect someone who talks about women's rights and then takes money from a government that oppresses women. And she's not handling it well. Every response she makes just digs the hole deeper. Every excuse sounds more desperate than the last. She could have just stayed quiet, let it blow over, but instead, she decided to fight back. And in doing so, she made everything so much worse.
My computer bastard. Is it capital R or the lowercase r? Riyadh. This is the second podcast where I did start talking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. You know, I can see the thing now. Whitney Cummings addresses the festival. You know what? I don't think I need to address it. You guys have it all figured out. I think you guys got it.
And the worst part? She's trying to make jokes about it, trying to laugh it off like it's all just comedy. But the jokes aren't landing. They're coming out hollow and forced, because deep down she knows she messed up. She knows she betrayed the values she claimed to stand for. And no amount of deflection or sarcasm is going to change that. Her fans aren't mad because they're too sensitive. They're mad because they held her to the standards she set for herself, and she failed to meet them.
Let's go to...
You know, it's just really crazy because we don't all have to agree or believe in the same things, but I really wish we could treat people better, you know? I really wish, and it's come to this point, you know? The Saudi regime is buying up comedians and this, and now your free time that you have away from surviving. Now you're getting fucking state-sponsored comedians, state-sponsored musicians, state-sponsored. Now they fucking control everything. And the thing is things won't change and things won't get. I don't think they ever will. But in theory, until people stand up, I think that's the only way people stand is massive, like, riot, like takeovers. I think that's the only time, like they did in Nepal. I think it's the only time things change. And then someone else gets into power, and then it's just a new version of that shit. It's just cruel. It's cruel. And it just makes me sad, because if she did come from like poverty and from the gutter, she would know that. And she wouldn't be up there talking all this shit. And most of the problem why people can't stand up or do anything is because they're too busy dealing with the oppression that the people in power create for us to keep us busy. And then when we get free time, they have all these comedians and musicians that they control to keep us busy with our entertainment. You see how you wonder why sports stars, musicians, fucking actors get paid so much money, right? You want to know why they get paid? Because they are the ultimate propaganda artists. And they keep us entertained. Or our sports team, we have a rivalry. You notice there's rivalry in sports, kind of represents the rivalries between countries. Same rules apply, right? So they keep us busy with sports, entertainment. They're nabbing up our community. Now they keep us busy with comedy, and they control all of it. So your whole life just turns into this big circle of fucking life controlled by them. And it doesn't make people happy, but they try to control everything in this world so that they can continue to oppress you with, oh, we raised the gas prices. Oh, you owe more. You owe more money on your house this year, right? You got to pay taxes on your house. Oh, the taxes on your house just went up. Oh, you just lost your job and you don't qualify for unemployment. Oh, we're going to make it difficult by putting construction down the fucking middle of the road and make you late to work. It goes down to everything. And I'm not even talking about the big issues. Not to mention the politics and the division. It makes sense why people don't have answers for life. Because the answer of life has to be so fucking ridiculous. That's why 42, right? That's why it was 42, because it's just absolutely preposterous to even think there's an answer to life, because absolutely nothing makes sense.
Saudi Arabia.
If they pay me.
I think this comedy event is in It's in Saudi Arabia. X-Ray, go find the list of comedians. It's out there somewhere because it's unbelievable. So I just wanted to point out a couple because honestly, if you want to go to Saudi Arabia and do some comedy, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. But if you're a virtue signaling whore like Bill Burr and or Whitney Cummings, who will go whichever way the wind blows.
Oh,
yeah, that's Whitney's. She's a flag. That's what she does. She just goes with the wind. But notice, if you really want to notice that it really is about virtue signaling, nobody's brought up this point, but this is one of the most excellent point. Y'all saw Bad Friends up there. Who says shit to them? They ain't got no shit. It's all these people that want to stand on their soapbox. Now they're mad that we're kicking the goddamn soapbox from out underneath them, and they're falling on their face right on that soapbox so they can realize all that shit they've been talking and they didn't stand up for it. Yeah, go sniff that soapbox. Yeah, that soapbox, sniff it. Become one with the soapbox. Become one.
Phony ass. Both Bill Burr and Whitney Cummings have done woke comedy, calling out misogyny and America being a slavery state and all that bullshit. And then you go to Saudi Arabia, get fucked.
The bigger picture. Whitney's not the only comedian dealing with this. Bill Burr, Jimmy Carr, and others who performed in Riyadh are all facing backlash. But Whitney's situation is worse because of how she's handled it. Bill Burr at least tried to justify it by saying, he was helping push boundaries in Saudi Arabia. It was a weak
Oh, wait, what the fuck does that mean? Bill Burr was just as big of a dick. All right. Sometimes these videos are a little bit off, but I'll let it pass. It was been interesting so far. I'll let it pass.
excuse, but at least he acknowledged why people were upset. Whitney just called her fans racist and moved on.
They all
No
did.
Reflection, no accountability, just blame and deflection. And that's why her fan base is collapsing faster than anyone else's. Because this isn't just about one comedy show. It's about how authoritarian governments use entertainment to clean up their image. It's called sports washing when it's sports, and culture washing when it's entertainment. Saudi Arabia has spent billions bringing in athletes, musicians, and comedians.
Damn, they even got esports? Damn. Nothing's safe, man. Video games? Here's a fact for you. You know, people always try to like shit on video games and gamers. I just think they're stupid. Video games are awesome. And let me tell you, video games, to create a video game, there are so much layers of design, coding, development, just so much goes into it. And to make a successful one, that's a work of art. A work of art that you can interact with for thousands and thousands, as much as you want. Right? And get this. The video game industry makes more money than the music industry and the movie industry combined. So I think all those people that like to hate on gamers, they're just jealous. They're not one. You're just unsuccessful at gaming. You're a racist gamer. I was trying to use the Rogan Sphere tactics, so let's see if it works and people believe me.
To make the country look modern. And every time a celebrity shows up, they help legitimize the regime.
Yes,
Whitney
they
was
do.
part of that. And instead of admitting it, she's pretending her critics are the problem.
For what I say to women is like, get to a place where you have nothing to prove so you can totally submit to your man and it doesn't feel like you're like a bad feminine. There's this thing now where you can't, like, if you cook for your man, you're not a good feminist. I'm like, you're dealing with knives and fire. It's cool. Like, being able to feed yourself and your family is like a bad thing now. Like, I think it's like so noble to be able to go like, I can show my love for you by giving up all these other things, and I just want to make you happy. Like, it's what I do on stage. It's what I do with crowds. It's like, I want to do it with a man. Is that weak?
Whitney.
Yes, Daddy. I'll do whatever you want, Daddy. Oh, Daddy, don't put your hand around my neck and lightly choke me. Oh, Daddy.
Cummings built her career on being the voice of women in comedy, on calling out powerful men, on standing up for what's right, and then she took money from one of the most oppressive governments on earth and called her fans racist for caring. She could have owned it, could have said, yeah, I took the money. I made a choice. People might not have agreed, but at least it would have been honest. Instead, she lied about growing up poor, deflected blame onto Live Nation, called her audience
Sad times,
ignorant,
folks.
and contradicted herself across multiple podcasts. She didn't just lose fans, she lost
Yeah, they all did.
credibility. And in comedy, credibility is everything. Drop a
No,
comment
it's
and
not.
let me know what you think. Did Whitney cross a
That's
line?
Joe Rogan.
Or are people overreacting? And is there any way back from this? Thanks for watching.
No, let her burn. Dig through the ditches. All right, anyways. What do y'all think about this Whitney Cummings? I think she's a con woman. They all are. They all did this. They got their talking points from Riyadh themselves. And it just is what it is, man. These guys, if you looked up to them, they have failed you. And Whitney Cummings, I don't know, man. How much longer does she go on? Like, she just seems like a disaster. Just an absolute disaster. But maybe you think differently. And that Lion Meows, we like to foster a good comment section. A comment section that is open to your ideas, your opinions, and most of all, your thoughts and your feelings. So come on, share. But if you piss me off, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, Pete.
Don't stay.